Hello, fellow gamers, and welcome to the Video Gamers Podcast. Live service games and AAA studios are always in the news, and it's usually for the wrong reasons. But as gamers, live service games provide some of the most fun, engaging, and approachable forms of gaming for many people. On the flip side, as lifelong gamers, we tend to lament the invention of live service games and their impact on the gaming industry as a whole. Studios want that jackpot payday, but gamers want innovation, passion, and a focus on fun. Today, we're taking it to court and arguing over whether studios that develop live service games should be required to support them, even if they flop. It's going to be a battle for the ages, but before we get to it, some introductions are in order. I am your host, Josh, and joining me, he'll be the judge for today's events, holding the fate of the gaming industry in his calloused working man hands. It's Ryan.
I get all the power.
Oh, man. Yeah, that is way too much power for one man.
Oh, I love it.
And joining us, my friend in podcasting, but my mortal enemy in this draft, it's John.
I got to tell you, we've done a few of these now, and the research element of this one was actually some of the most enjoyable research I've done. I'm looking forward to crossing swords with you here, sir.
Oh, Josh, he researched.
I'm over here in shock. Like, wait a minute, you did research?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
For anybody listening, there's probably a slant that you would predict John would take in this argument. And I think maybe you'll be surprised.
Oh, man. All right. I'm surprised because now I feel drastically unprepared because I did zero research, guys. I fly off the seat of my pants in these things. And now I'm really worried John's going to make some like really logical arguments and stuff. So,
would you have anything less, sir?
I mean, I thought I didn't know we were supposed to research. I didn't get that memo.
Well, I had to, and not to bury the lead here, but I had to. So Josh and I, we agreed that this would be a fun topic to talk about. And typically I take the corporate stance on these things. I typically take the company's standpoint, and Josh and I thought it would be interesting to sort of flip the script here a bit. And so I am having to take the side against corporate America, which is not something I typically do. And the research proved to be very enlightening.
I love it.
I will say this. We are swapping arguments. When we came up with this topic, live service stuff's been all over the news. Gamers, we're seeing so many live service games fail, but when they hit massively. There has been a lot of pushback from the gaming community. We kind of said, hey, what's our natural take on this? I went, bro, I'm not really for live service gaming. I don't know that this is good for the industry. John, you went, I can understand the corporate mindset on this. With my background in the corporate world, I actually can understand some of these decisions. And so naturally we went, yeah, we're not going to do that. Let's mix it up, man. So today I am arguing for live service gaming being able to just abandon a game if it doesn't work out and move on to the next one. And John is arguing for, live service gaming being required to continue to support and develop these games because that's the promise you made to gamers. And darn your profit lines and margins and profit and loss statements and all that stuff that John knows way more about than the rest of us. So it is absolutely a little bit of a role reversal in this case. I don't like it. I feel very out of place where normally I'm like, oh, I'm so ready for this, man. I'm so ready to just argue that. And then now I'm like, dang it. I feel gross and dirty. And it is a little eye-opening, man. Like making the case for something that you don't necessarily believe in really does kind of make you go, at least I can understand it from the other side of things. And that's honestly something we could all get a little bit better at. Even if you don't agree with something, understanding the other side of things is always a good thing in our opinion. So, Ryan, you're the judge today. You are going to decide who made the better arguments. Ryan has sworn in before recording that he will be fair and impartial, and his presuppositions about live service gaming will not matter in his judgment at all, which none of us believe. Ryan's gonna judge how he's gonna judge.
I am totally gonna just no bias, nothing. It's gonna be straight edge.
Oh, and this is why everybody that is not watching these episodes should be watching these episodes, man. Because we are video. We are on YouTube. We have video on Spotify. And if you missed out on Ryan's little subtle indications there, well, you missed out. So watch the video, people. All right, John, let's get to this, man. All right, so just to clarify, just to set the ground rules, we are arguing over the point isn't just live service gaming in general, right? We are arguing over should a developer that develops a live service game be required to continue to support that game even if the sales flop. The premise behind this is that, hey, you're releasing this game under the premise that you will continue to support it for however long, and you sold it to me under that premise, and I bought it, and then you abandon it 6 months later because it flopped like Concord did, and nobody's playing it, and you don't want to lose a ton of money. And so you sold me a product that you no longer support. So that is the argument.
You're making my argument.
Well, okay, I know I am. And so that is one side of the argument. The other side is that, hey, we developed this game. It is a live service game. We were honest and upfront about that. As a company, obviously our job is to make money. And if this game's flopping, there's no way we are going to be expected or required to continue support a game that has flopped and that nobody is playing at this point. So those are the arguments. John, do you want to kind of open up with your thinking?
Let me
go.
Well,
all right, go for it, buddy. We're gonna start off with just a summary of your thinking on this here, or an opening statement, as some might say. So,
okay, so there are sort of like three major components that I want to touch on here, and before I get into them, I want to acknowledge that as somebody who's owned a business, I strongly believe that every entity in the world, whether it is a corporate entity or a life entity, deserves the opportunity to compete for its survival within the legal confines that is able to do so. So there are three major things that I want to talk about in my opening discussion here. Is this concept of live service games, why they exist, and what it means to discontinue service. Number one, when a live service game is developed, it is not being developed as a product, but as an ongoing experience. And that is an acknowledgement that both the developer and the consumer are taking. It is not that I'm paying for a packaged, complete product, but the fact that it is live service imputes an understanding that you are going to continue to evolve and support this product as my experience with it evolves as well. That is my expectation. That is the social contract we've made. Number two is the fact that game designers, I think, are often using the terms of service, or whatever the appropriate nomenclature is for this, but the contract, the actual thing that you have to acknowledge as a player of these games, as a right to discontinue service whenever it may be possible or necessary at the company level. And what I've found and what I intend to demonstrate is that there are actually quite a bit of examples where the terms of service have been proven to be non-enforceable because of the way they are constructed or the way that they are buried in the fine print. And I think that is very relevant to this because there's an understanding that these terms of service have to be reasonably reciprocal and reasonably well understood for both parties here. And the third one is, I think, most to the point, where we talk about, does a developer need to support a game even if that support of the game poses an existential threat to the company? And I believe, and I can demonstrate, that there are ways that support and or at least the core experience of a game can be preserved basically in perpetuity without hardship to the company that created it. And I would propose those as an alternative to sunsetting the game altogether.
Okay.
All right.
Fair.
All right.
Fair.
I like it. I like it.
I disagree. In for this episode. What I want to do. So here's the thing, man. I'm going to just approach the idea of live service games because a lot of times gamers go, ew. And I know Ryan's going, ew. You know, and I'm trying to sway the judge on this one. Okay, so here's what we need to think about, guys. I'm going to talk about the idea and this distaste for live service games first, because I think we need to kind of set the stage a little bit. Gamers,
we should set the stage by counting up how many hours you've put into Marvel Rivals, sir.
A lot. And thank you for making.
Okay,
my point for
so
me.
don't say ew if you're gonna.
No,
say,
I'm saying
like,
that's what most gamers do, and you are proving my point for me here, John. So thank you so much for that. So. Gamers want new games. We want innovation. We say it all the time on this show. We want passion being put into the games that we play. We want fun. And while we can bemoan the impact of live service games, you can't deny the impact that live service gaming has. Without live service games, we would not have some of the greatest games of our generation. Fortnite, Counter-Strike, League of Legends, Destiny, Genshin Impact, Roblox, Call of Duty. And while I get some people will roll their eyes at the names of these games, there are millions of gamers in the world that escape to those very games day in and day out because they provide ongoing entertainment, evolving worlds, expanding features, and more. These games rely on the quality of the gameplay and the worlds that they have to survive. All right. So in an industry that is driven by creativity and competition, if you tie a company's hands to an unprofitable venture, it's going to stifle that innovation that we all want as gamers. It's going to drain resources from these companies that are developing these games that could be better spent trying their hand at something new and exciting so that gamers can have a game like Fortnite, Counter-Strike, Genshin Impact, Roblox, and all these other games that millions and millions and millions of people play. So don't be swayed by the name live service game, okay? Because I know that there's that initial impression. And instead, what I want is to take a minute to think about the reach that these games have. Think about the number of gamers that are impacted, that are able to play these games. All right. They appeal to a lot of people in the world, and they give them moments of joy that they wouldn't have otherwise. They give them experiences to share with their friends because most live service games are multiplayer, online, co-op, competitive, however you want to say it. They are approachable, they're accessible, and they are the go-to for millions and millions and millions of gamers. So I want us to get rid of that preconception that we have when it comes to the term live service gaming.
Very well said. All right, gentlemen. John, I have a question for you, sir.
Shoot.
With live service games, what are the risks of a game becoming unplayable or obsolete with the live services shutting down?
Well, so again, this kind of ties to the core of what I mentioned at the opening of my statement, and frankly, something that Josh just reinforced, right? When people,
I did not.
Yes, you
No
did.
such thing.
The thing that makes these games so valuable is that the experiences continue to evolve as you play them. If you were to like introduce Marvel Rivals in a bricked state and say like, this is the game and that's it. Or Call of Duty, Fortnite, whatever, League of Legends, any of these games. This is a package deal, and we're not going to support it. I would wager that inherently by that, the replayability of those games sinks dramatically, and the value of it sinks dramatically too. So in as short a way as I can put this, the risk that exists from a company ceasing to support these games to the consumer is that you remove its value altogether. And I want to say that I understand the counterpoint here where we say like, does a company need to continue to support these things even if it's stifling their financial accountability to do so? So Here is my primary point to this, right? When a game company develops a live service agreement, there is a social contract that exists between the game company and the consumer that says, hey, you will play our game. You will devote your valuable time to playing this product that we've curated for you. And in exchange in this social contract, we are going to continue to support this so that your time is well spent and that you continue to get a updated, refreshing experience with this for, in perpetuity until we release the next one. This is a social contract. And on your side of the social contract, gaming company, it is your prerogative to support. And like any contract, if you fail to support your side of the contract, you fall into debt. It is your prerogative to figure out a way out of that debt. And frankly, in as black and white terms as I can put it, if you fail to resolve that debt, ultimately you have to declare bankruptcy. Now that seems really harsh in these terms, but that is the reality of what we're talking about here. The contract needs to be reciprocal, and as long as the gamer is playing the game, it is your responsibility to continue to support these games. Or at a very minimum, you need to sunset them in a responsible way that allows the core experience to be continued to be played for interested parties in perpetuity.
Big game, Josh. What's your opinion?
I'm just going to address that the topic is whether a company should be required to continue to support these games. Okay. Nowhere on earth is it expected that if a movie is not good, that they have to continue to try to make the movie better. Are they forced?
Movies aren't live service.
But
that's not the social contract. That is not the social contract. When you watch a movie, when you consume a movie, it is a packaged product put out into the world, and it lives or dies by the sword. You do not watch a movie under the social contract that if I stop liking this movie, that you're going to alter it. And please, I would love this. Trust me, Game of Thrones, I would absolutely love it if such a social contract existed, but it doesn't. That is not what we are expecting.
But in a way we are, because I'll use Marvel as an example. Marvel, when it came out, was fantastic, dude. And then it continued to just be this, hey, we're forced. Disney came along and said, man, we have to tap this money cow for as much money as we can possibly soak and wring out of it. And it doesn't matter about the IP. We're just going to focus on the money. And what happened? So because they were forced into making these Marvel movies, the quality of those movies dipped over time. And now most people go, bro, Marvel is in a terrible spot. This has been ruined. And this is exactly the impact that happens when a company is forced to continue to support something that they don't have passion for anymore. And we see that in gaming. That's the problem, is that you want to take the argument that, hey, you must continue to support this game, even if this game is not appreciated by people. If this game sucks, you know what I mean? Then you must continue to support this game. And while I get that gamers would go, yeah, because this is the agreement that you made, my point is that agreement would be absolutely devastating to the gaming industry, like we have seen it be devastating to Marvel. Marvel sucks now, man. And it sucks because they were forced into just making movies. Guys, we can't abandon this.
They are not forced into making those movies.
Oh, they were forced into making these movies.
No,
man.
they are not. Nobody put
cow.
A gun to their head and said, it's a cash cow. That is an opportunity, not a force.
Yeah, but you see
they are
the
saying,
absolute
hey,
degradation.
Iron Man 2 was successful. Let's make my Iron Man 3. Well, you know what? Iron Man 3 sucked. You know what? There's a lot of people that did like. There's a lot of people that did like Iron Man 3. They don't get to delete Iron Man 3 from existence because the majority of people didn't like it.
They should.
Okay, whether they should or they shouldn't is irrelevant. There are certain people out there who like the movie, and the movie has been packaged and is released, and people can consume it. You cannot say, hey, we lost money on this movie, or we're going to delete it from existence so that even the people who did enjoy it, and frankly, again, we're talking about two totally different things. Live service imputes a mutual agreement that I'm going to continue to play and you're going to continue to produce.
But it's
That
the
is the
agreement,
difference.
But the agreement is when you accept those terms of service and you agree to the EULA, you are saying, hey, I am agreeing. I want to play your game. This game that you spent millions and millions and millions of dollars developing without a dime from anybody. I agree. I am entering in because my desire to play this game is so strong that I agree that if you deem that this game is not successful for you, that you are going to halt development on this game. Now, my point with the Marvel movie stuff is that while all gamers might go, yeah, they should be required to support these games, that thinking is dangerous because the impact that would have on the gaming industry would be catastrophic, dude. And while we all want to see a company like Sony that made a flop like Concord, we all want to fist pump and go, yeah, serves you right, Sony, for buying into this live service schlop. The problem is that if you enforce these companies to support a game that nobody is playing, the ramifications from that are going to ripple through the gaming industry in a way that no gamer wants. And that's the point that we're trying to make here.
Okay, so but we're saying you're saying that forced to support games that if nobody wanted support in these games, it wouldn't matter if they sunsetted them. The problem that we're experiencing is that even if these games are unprofitable, there are some people who bought into this social contract who do enjoy them, who do want them to be
those
supported.
People are weird,
or at
man.
least
Fair. The 50 people that
there's
want
people
Concord,
who like pineapple on pizza. Josh,
the 50 people that wanted Concord to continue to exist because they liked Concord. Like, are we in a world where we cater to 50 people when it can ruin the rest of the industry?
We live in a world where, yes, you honor your contract with people. If there are 50 people out there who loved it and 8 billion people who didn't, you still signed up for a social contract with those 50 people who are still ingesting your project to at least continue to allow it to exist in the state that it does. And there are ways you can do that. That doesn't pose a existential hardship to the company.
I have
want
a
to
question
address
for you real quick, Josh. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Let
Let me make this one point
yeah.
because John wants to talk about this social contract, and a contract involves two parties. And when one of those parties signs that contract and says, hey, I agree that if you deem that this game isn't profitable and you stop development on it, that I'm not going to get a refund, and that I agree that by playing this game, I am at the whim of the developer and the publisher and everything else. I signed that contract. We all signed that contract. And whether you like the results of that contract or not, we all agree to that contract. So the idea that a contract should exist between two parties, you're making my point for me. Gamers are literally saying, okay, I accept this. I want to play this game. My desire to play this game overrides logic and reasoning. I'm willing to pay $80 or $100 for a premium edition so I can play this game 2 days before every other gamer in the world. Like, come on, man. Not all gamers are smart. We're not arguing over the intelligence of gamers. I'm just as guilty, man. I can't tell you how many games I've paid for the early access period because it's like, bro, I want to play this game on a Friday, not on a Monday. I get a whole weekend to play it. The contract is two people. Gamers are agreeing to this. All right, Ryan, you had a question before John comes up with a good point?
John.
Hurry, Ryan!
I'm about to stomp this.
That was
guys.
very well done, Josh. That was very well done. I did just have a quick question on the inherent risks within these projects. As a consumer, a lot of people would say that it is your risk that you're taking when you purchase something, and be it live service or not, like if they're going to continue to update that. Is it also equally so a risk for a company developing that game that are typically boom or bust, where you know that it is desirable for you to continue the updates and continue to maintain these games? If you don't like that, some would say, well, then don't make that type of game. Well, what are your opinions on that?
I mean, do you tell a painter not to paint with oil? And that he's got to use acrylic instead? Do you tell a sculptor that instead of doing art on statues that he should, do paintings instead? I mean, some people have talents, and these talents are, hey, I can envision this world where this game is ongoing and continuing, and we have new quests and features and things like that. If that's what they're good at, I mean, again, we've seen some of the biggest games in history are live service games, man. Look at the Steam top charts right now. Concurrent player count. I guarantee you every single one of those in the top 5 is a live service game, because this is what resonates with gamers. They're generally free to play. You have to rely on the quality of the game, because if they're free to play,
The
and your game
perpetual
sucks,
quality of the game.
you know, but if the game sucks, nobody's going to play it. So guess what? These games have to be entertaining, because they'll be doomed to fail otherwise. You know, so I think there is absolutely risk involved there, but the gamers will vote with their wallets. If Marvel Rivals, if nobody bought a skin in Marvel Rivals would cease to exist in about a week, dude. If every person that plays that game was like, nope, I'm not buying the skin, I'm not buying this battle pass, that game by nature would flop, dude. So gamers are literally the ones that are saying, we like this, we support this, we want more of this because I'm giving you my hard-earned money. And then the developers go, okay, well, we'll keep giving you content. You keep giving us money. That's the contract that people are agreeing to. It may be an unsaid contract, but gamers vote with their wallets. And in this case, gamers are saying, hey, I want more of this. I'm giving you my money for you to give me more of it in return.
Yeah, and I have to say that in principle, I agree with Josh's stance on this,
Yes.
right? Like, well, no,
Yes.
money is not the purpose of business, just like blood is not the purpose of life. But money is a requirement for business, just as much as blood is a requirement for life. It must exist. However, the contract, it cannot be unilateral. If a consumer is paying into or investing in this gaming experience, the customer's right is that they must be able to continue to enjoy this experience in at least the state that they bought into it. And so the idea that we are sunsetting and or canceling games is what we would consider to be a unilateral contract, which there's legal precedent in support that those don't hold up in court. There are actually 4 principles that I did some research in here. Legal principles.
I don't like this whole research thing, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So legal principle, illusory clauses. So if a game's terms of service lets the developer change or kill the game unilaterally, courts may find it invalid. They did this with Blockbuster. Lack of notice and consent. If the terms are buried in fine print and not presented clearly, like in the case of Zappos, they may not bind users to this. And there may be grounds for what are called clawback lawsuits. Inconscionability. Extremely one-sided clauses with no negotiation path can be struck down, as in the case of Brad. And then changes in notification. Courts expect notice evidence of claimed changes, as in Zappos and Dropbox, and also casual agreement does not equal enforceable contract. So in these cases, what they found is that regardless of what fine print may exist in the contract, if the general social agreement is that you're going to be creating a live service game, which is a game that is just by name something that is expected to be at least preserved in a playable state in perpetuity, then that must happen. And again, to Josh's point, I understand a company cannot continue. If you have a wound, you cannot continue to bleed in perpetuity or you will die. I understand that point. But the irresponsible thing that game developers are doing is that they are removing the experience altogether that people have invested in, which I believe presents a empirical breach of contract. And here's how you get around it. So number 1, phase 1 is that the product goes into what we would call legacy mode. So the developer removes monetization and makes all the assets available for free at that point. They keep servers up in a minimal frozen state as they are working on step 2. So they mitigate the loss. Step 2 is that they create peer-to-peer or local hosting patches.
Objection, Your Honor. Boredom. Too many points being made at once.
I'll cut to the chase here.
Sustained.
It is possible for patches to be created so that the few interested parties, as in Anthem, can continue to play by hosting these on local or LAN servers, which offloads the infrastructure from the developer and allows the however many people who did decide to play to continue to play in open in perpetuity. And then they can, step 3, give open source or mod tools to the public, as we've seen in lots of games that have, kind of become obsolete for one reason or another, and just let people do their own support to it. There are ways that these games can continue to exist in perpetuity while mitigating the business loss. And that is the approach. If you terminate a game that people have played into without giving them the opportunity to continue to experience this game, that constitutes a black and white breach of social contact for me, and the company should be held responsible.
Yeah, I have a question for both of you, Your Honor, if you would humor me in this case. Being a lifelong gamer, you can speak to this, and John, you as well. If I created a game that looks fantastic, and as you log into that game, I put up a splash screen because you talked about all of this blah, blah, blah stuff about these contracts being too difficult to read and stuff like that. If I put up a splash screen that simply said, you as the gamer agree to play this game and understand that we may stop support for this game at any moment, click here. Yes, accept. No, I decline. What is the number or what's the percentage of gamers that you think are going to go ahead and click yes, I want to play this game?
Most.
Yeah, I think I'd say far more than
90%?
90, 95.
You want to play the game,
I think if people want to play the game, they're going to play the game.
You want to play the game. So it doesn't matter how complicated the terms of service are. If I put a screen that says gamer, you understand that we can stop support at this game at any moment. 90% of gamers are still going to be like, let me in, homie. I want to try it out.
Yeah. I would argue you're making my point for me,
No,
Josh,
you're making my point.
No, the social contract is that if you are producing a live service game by necessity or whatever, that you're going to continue to honor your side of the agreement, and I will continue to play the game. If you don't like this live service game element, baby, create better games. Change the public opinion.
Is that you are willfully entering into the contract.
As are you.
As a gamer, I am saying I understand that you can stop support at this at any moment, and I agree. I'm totally with you, developer, XYZ, that you're going to stop support on this game at any moment. Just let me in, baby. I want the experience. So the whole contract part is moot because these people are entering into it. And we all just said, no matter how simple this screen is that says you accept this, we all said, yeah, I'm going to accept it. I want to play the game, man. That's on us, the gamers.
Wouldn't people
that's
say
not
that
on the developers?
Couldn't somebody say that it's more of a one-sided contract where
it is categorically unilateral, and here's why.
Okay.
If the game was entirely free to play, if this was like public domain, entirely free to play, there's no monetization on your part, and all you're doing is hosting it, and you're not getting any of my direct dollars from it, then dude, have at it. You can do whatever you want. This is a hobby for you. You might get some ad revenue, but I, the consumer, am not paying you anything for it. But when you release a live service game and you charge for assets of that game, and then regardless of whatever splash page you've put in front of it, you remove access to my assets that I paid for, you have violated a fundamental social contract and a point of sale that I believe you need to be held responsible for. You need to, at a minimum, make sure that I'm able to continue to play with my assets that I have paid for. That is your responsibility.
Now, it's regarding those assets. I'm a little hazy on that subject there. Are those assets legally owned by the consumer within their purchase?
I paid for them.
Does that mean you actually own them, though?
I
yes,
paid for
absolutely.
my Switch too.
It is a digital.
You have the ability to brick it, but I paid for it.
Correct, but you paid for a piece of hardware.
On topic, boys. On topic.
All right. Sorry. So, look, I know we're running out of time on this. Here's the thing. Again, as gamers, yes, we do think that there should be some accountability. And I know live service games come with a certain amount of ick from gamers in general. But the thing is, you have to take a step back. You have to go, we have to recognize the appeal that these games have to people. Gamers will vote with their wallets. I'll use a non-live service game. Recently, Mind's Eye came out, looked good, disaster. Disaster of a launch, disaster of a game, really, really poor quality. What's the ramification there? Gamers are going to go, bro, what's the terrible name of that studio? Build a Rocket Boy, right? Yeah, Build a Rocket Boy studio. I will never trust you again. I will never buy another one of your products again. And that right there is the correction that is needed from gamers to go, nope, burn me once, shame on me, burn me twice, shame on me. That's not right. You guys get right. It. But that's the point, right? So in a live service game, if it sucks, shame. I'm not going to buy that game again. Gamers are going to vote with their wallets, And so it's like now this studio doesn't have good credibility and people aren't going to buy their games again in the future. But to want to regulate this continuation of development is going to gut the industry. You're not going, imagine if we were stuck in Nintendo days because, hey, certain Nintendo games flopped. We couldn't ever, try something new. All these new genres that we have now, we'd only be playing platformers and Duck Hunt because it's like, well, we don't have the means.
I like Duck Hunt.
I do like Duck Hunt. We don't have the means to try new things because if we try new things, we're going to be on the hook for it. And if we're on the hook for it and it doesn't work out, we're stuck. So there goes all innovation. There goes all passion. Developers would only make the safest, most bland Dragon Age Veilguard games that you could ever imagine because, hey, somewhere, some people might think that this game is okay. You would murder the industry, man. And while it's like, yes, everybody wants that jackpot, the ramifications would be disastrous. And so the idea is a good idea from a gamer's mind, but the actual implementation of that would be catastrophic.
So are we considering this our closing argument?
Yeah. If you guys can get your closing statements in.
Okay. So I hear and understand what your point is on this, Josh. And again, I have a remarkable bit of empathy for this. Like I know a lot of business owners and it's tough. And I know that it sucks to put a lot of time into a product and have people not receive it well. But there are some people who like these games. Even if they're in the minority, their purchase agreement with you is not invalid. And you need to honor your side of the agreement. These gamers are not just users. We're talking about paying customers. They've paid for a service. And when developers shut down these live service titles without meaningful recourse or compensation, especially if what we're talking about is the terms of service being buried, and there's legal and ethical grounds that those could be challenged. But if people are paying for a part of this service, it is the company's prerogative to either continue to support it or to give users the means to continue to get what they paid for and support it themselves. The law is evolving and the standards for digital game ownership and preservation should as well. And frankly, if this proposes some sort of asymmetric risk to gaming companies where live service it will kill or, it's a feast or famine sort of situation, then it's up to the gaming industry to step it up and figure out something that is more solvent and sustainable without risking the contracts with their paying customers.
All right, Ryan. This falls. We've made our arguments, buddy.
You have definitely given me a lot to think about here. You both made some very, very good statements and some solid points on this. I as a lifelong gamer, as myself, I have compassion for gamers. When you purchase a game, you play it, you spend money on skins, you invest this time, and then they're just going to shut it down and take it all away from you. Equally so, I feel for companies to where, hey, this isn't working out like we thought. We're going to have to pull the plug on this to save the company and hopefully come up with something better. Having said that, I do think, and this is what I asked earlier about the ability to actually own these, and I looked something up real quick. So in a strict legal sense, consumers in a game like Fortnite do not actually own the skins. They purchase instead what would you would call a limited liability like lease, limited license to utilize these skins within the game, as well as, you know, the ability to continue to play. You don't have, those assets are not yours. They're not your own belongings. So having said that, I will have to rule in favor of the companies not being required to continue to to update their live service games.
What? Boo!
You consumers, as well as the companies, both enter into a contract to where they both can pull out at any time. It is not the responsibility of a company to maintain a sinking ship just for a few people there. So I am going to rule in favor of Josh.
Oh.
Okay, now that
Gavel
that's an
and
official
everything.
ruling, I feel so gross.
I could tell that was so hard for both of you guys.
Get it off me. Oh, man.
You know
I
what's-
just kept wanting to make John's arguments for him.
Honestly, though, you know what, guys? Like, I honestly do side with your arguments on this, Josh. I don't think, like, how can you force a company to keep maintaining this?
Well, hey, hang on, Ryan. So, like, I want to make sure that you're understanding the core of my counter argument. I mean, like, I'll respect the judgment.
Ruling's been made.
obviously.
Yeah.
Ruling's
That's fine.
been made. It's
That's
official.
fine. Josh, you win. Full stop. But I just want to make sure, because, like, I agree with that. A company shouldn't have to keep supporting something that's killing them. If you get cut and you continue to bleed, you die, and that sucks. I don't think any company should be compelled to die because they created something unsuccessful. That being said, it takes very little resources to go, you know what, guys, we released this thing and it's a flop. It's a flop. But there are some people who are going to be upset that have paid into this game that if we kill this, they're going to be upset. So what do? Okay, well, open source it. Let them continue
Open source is the solution.
open
man.
source it. Let them continue to support it themselves. They can do whatever they want with it, and give them a patch so that they can support, so that they can host it locally. Then there's no risk to me as a company. It can be supported until the end of time with no risk to me. That is the primary point where I'm looking to make. I don't think a company should be compelled to die because they created a product that is unpopular, but they do have a requirement to uphold their contract with the people who did enjoy it and allow them to continue to enjoy the product, which I think is
where's the line, though? Where do you draw the line? Like, what if it's 10 people and it's going to cost you, 3 programmers and server space and a lot of funds to
I think creating it, even if you can't create the patch yourself, you can release the assets publicly, which costs nothing, and say, hey, develop your own patch and you can.
Isn't this
do
what they
this
did with
locally.
Toontown, Josh?
Yeah, they open sourced it.
That's because that's how we were able to still
like,
play it.
legitimately,
Boom.
that's
Yeah.
the solution. Like when John started to talk about that, I didn't want to.
It's like, oh, crap.
at all. But that is 100%. Like if this game's flopping and it's costing you money, like then I know everybody's super protective of their IP, and it's like, oh well, we developed this, it's ours. But it's like, but bro, you developed something that sucks. Like give it to the world. For the 50 people out there that want to play it, give it to them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
I will say, like, my bias towards this obviously was towards the company, but as I was doing the research on this, my opinion changed. Like I reinformed myself. I was honestly like, how the heck am I going to argue with Josh on this, man?
I will say my opinion changed as well, because the ramifications that it would have for the gaming industry to force companies to support it is spot on, dude. You would crush innovation, dude. Like at my brain. So we got to wrap up, right? But my brain instantly is like, my mind instantly goes to if you want the jackpot, you're going to risk it. If you want to bet it all on black, you know what I mean? Which is what these developers are doing with these live service games. That is an inherent risk that you were saying we're either going to win a whole bunch of money or we're going to lose all our money, because you're willing to bet that you're going to hit it. And if you don't, that's on you, man. That's a bad decision from the beginning. So if you want to develop a live service game that flops and you can't do it, 100% on you, man. You should have made a better choice. Make an indie game. There's tons of money to be had in that. But they go, no, we want the billions of dollars, so we're betting it all on black, baby. And I'm like, bro, that's a stupid decision. That's on you, man. You should be punished if it doesn't work out in that case. But you start trying to regulate these things and saying, hey, you have to support these things, you're going to destroy the industry, man. Like legitimately. And again, the point is where there would be no innovation anymore is absolutely true. Like, and so we talk about like researching these sites that I don't necessarily believe in. I'm like, dang it, dude. As much as I hate live service gaming, in theory, like, number one, they absolutely serve a purpose to millions of gamers in the world. So it's like we're all for people in loving their games, you know? And so this is something that as gamers we have to acknowledge. The other issue is that do you really want to stifle all innovation and ruin all of these companies that maybe they learn a lesson and they go, okay, well, we're not going to try that again, but now we're going to go make something better because we've learned from our previous failures, which is something that all humans benefit from in life too. So
love it. You guys
Ryan,
made some good
thank you.
arguments, man.
Fun episode, man. I love this one.
Okay, now
dude.
John, do you feel a little gross? Because I feel a little gross, man.
No,
but like, at the
I
same
don't.
time, it's like I learned something from this. Man.
I find tremendous value because again, I'm normally the company guy. I found tremendous value in going like, oh, huh, interesting. I actually take the side of the users in this. But as far as how I feel, like, man, ultimately, like I'm like very libertarian oriented, where like just things people vote with their money and we uphold the law. And that's it. You know, whatever is legal is permissible. People should exploit the rules to their full extent. And if people don't like it, they should either stop paying for it or we should vote to change the law.
Yeah. If you look, no risk it, no biscuit, right? But these companies that are willing to risk it, there should be ramifications.
Yeah.
You know, Concord cost Sony $250 million or something like that. Good.
Oof.
You learned a lesson. Hopefully you learned a lesson.
We'll see.
I mean, I don't know, but maybe they didn't. But, you know, that is I think gamers have that hope that it's like, hey, if you make garbage, you're going to pay a price, you know, and if you make something fun, it'll be okay.
Or at a minute, I don't know. The open source thing really spoke to me, man.
I think that is absolutely the solution, dude. I 100% for this particular topic, if we want something that's not crippling to the company and satisfies the gamers, so this is a happy medium. If you want to stop supporting your game, you give the code to that game to the public and let them run with it at that point.
Yeah, dude. And like as a holistic benefit too, you might end up discovering some awesome developers out there who take something that you failed at, make it successful, and now you've got a new asset. You know, find this person, bring them onto the dev team.
I love these developers that actually embrace the modders and say, hey, you know, we're going to form this synergistic relationship with you. Not like Nintendo, where they're like, we're suing you. How dare you make a mod for our game?
You want to use a different plug?
Get out of here. You know, and then you've got other developers where they're like, dude, we freaking love these mods you guys came up with. Why don't you come tour the studio? Let's hang out, man.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys think you could make something good for this game? Do you want a job, by the way? Like, to me, that's the best option.
Turn your flaw into a feature.
Yep,
Love
absolutely. So, all right, everybody,
job, guys.
thank you for joining us for another episode of Game Court. Kudos, John, for getting out of your comfort zone.
Likewise, Josh. Kudos.
Ryan, kudos to you for making the right decision on this one.
Boo, Boo, Ryan.
I would also like to point out that for our legendary supporters, you get to vote on John's punishment for losing this case.
Oh, yeah.
John
I forgot about this.
He completely forgot, and I did the whole time. Oh, man. Oh, that's right.
I forgot about that too.
God,
Dude, you guys had me going back and forth. Like, you guys did a really good job.
I didn't forget.
I forgot to mention
That's
I'm
why
going on an extended vacation. I don't know.
That's why, Ryan, when you picked me, I had such a sigh of relief. I was like, oh, thank goodness, man.
I totally forgot about that.
Our legendary supporters of the show, you will get to vote on a punishment for John that he has to do on a future episode.
Please be kind, guys.
We'll handle that part of it. If you would like to have some fun, maybe become a legendary supporter of this show, you can do that by clicking the link in the episode description. It helps support this podcast and keep this fun content rolling. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this one. No matter what side you're on this one, man, it's good to be a gamer. Remember that there's people out there where some of these live service games are the only games that they get access to. And so while we kind of bemoan them, remember that you are by nature supporting them, and that also there are a lot of people that rely on these games for their gaming entertainment as well. So that's going to do it for this one, everybody. Until next time, happy gaming.
See ya.
Toodaloo.